Canada used to be known for having very high standards for public office for both bureaucrats and politicians. I'm not sure that's the case anymore. Dominic Barton is now the chairman of Rio Tinto, a big company, huge assets in China. He was Canada's ambassador to China until the day before he left and he became the chairman. And before that, he was chairman of McKinsey & Company, a worldwide company, again, well known to the Canadian government, makes a lot of money with the Canadian government. The conflict of interest officer in Ottawa says there was no significant meetings between Barton and Rio. Well, there was one in October. There must have been some significance to it because the day after he became chairman. But Dan McTeague is a former Liberal member of Parliament for 19 years. He knows all about the standards of public life. Would you agree that the people we have both in appointed and in elected office are no longer what they used to be?
Well, in this case, I think you have a significant ambassador, looking after a significant relationship, and then moving to a significant company. Look, members of Parliament, ministers are held to a very high standard. You must recuse yourself, and you must not be involved with lobbying. You must not be involved with anything to do with the government that you once belonged to, or for that matter, anything to do with Parliament. So for that kind of standard is set. I think it's pretty clear.
That's true. I mean, I said to MPs, but I know some MPs who didn't win in September.
They couldn't go back.
And they can't go back to anything.
No.
They're just frozen out. So it's really officials.
I think the question here is really whether or not officials ought to be held to the same account. And I think it's clear that we're not talking about an ambassador or perhaps a chargé d'affaires at some very obscure outpost. We're talking about the Chinese embassy.
China.
And we know how important that country is. We know that there are a lot of controversies, conflicts. We've just come through a very large period of entanglement with respect to the two Michaels, and we have grave concerns about that country's
and it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse.
So one would have to think that in this kind of case, there ought to have been a cooling off period. The fact that there isn't, I think, raises more questions about the probity of our ability to prevent these things from happening. I think Mr. Barton, despite his credentials, ought to have been forced to, as any other person would be, put in a position where he should have recused himself for a period of time, or at least not been able to move on so quickly to yet another company.
The technicalities are one thing, because when he was appointed as ambassador, I remember people saying, well, he's not a diplomat. He's just a friend of Justin's. Has never been in a diplomatic corps before. And then now that he's out, people are saying, well, he's back in business. Is there something called the smell test? Where the average person should look at that and say, that stinks.
Well, we know that China has a voracious appetite for resources. Canada seems to be a willing partner, having sold off neolithium without much in the way of any overview, despite the Canada Investment Act or the Investment Canada Act. It seems to me that there has to be something else beyond simply saying, well, there's nothing to see here. There's plenty to see. I think the days ahead are going to reveal a lot more than what we know.
Dan McTeague, thank you. The smell test, 3 minutes. Thank you very, very much for watching and for engaging in the 3 minutes, which will carry you through most discussions for the day. 2022 is going to be a very, very tough year. Stay with us. Please tell your friends to subscribe and PayPal. Thanks.